Hello everyone, and a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Monza once again, as we're here with the Finali Mondiali weekend and the Ferrari Challenge and Race 2 for the combination of Trofeo Pirelli and Copa drivers about to make it on track. It is the second race of the weekend and the final race, actually, of the 2018 championship season. Because the racing tomorrow will be for the world final races only, the gold roof. The coveted gold roof to be taken by the champion in each of the categories, Trofeo Pirelli and Copa from each of, or from all the regions combined, those being Europe, North America and Asia Pacific. But of course it is the European series that we focus on here today, with the air temperature a miserable 15 degrees, and it has to be perhaps one of the wettest Monzas that I can remember for many, many years, because it has rained pretty much on and off all of the days that we've been here. But for the moment, the rain is not coming down, so the spectators that are here are enjoying the fact that it's not raining. We have a slight delay to the race start, brought about by a couple of offs earlier. Weather affected, undoubtedly, because the grip available on the track, I would think, is challenged somewhat. The drivers making their way to the grid for their race. When the Ferrari Challenge Europe cars took to the track yesterday, it was as the light dimmed and it became very dark, and the track conditions were quite similar to what we have today, I would suggest, in that it wasn't raining, but very much a wet track. Nonetheless, a number of drivers took the gamble to go out on slick tyres, and alongside me is official Ferrari GT driver James Collado, world champion at that. And I did question some of those drivers going out on slick tyres. I shouldn't think anyone will take the gamble today, James, will they?
I doubt it. No, they'd have learned from yesterday. It was like ice out there for them. Obviously, the conditions didn't help. It was quite dark. It was miserable. So obviously more daylight now. So, yeah, I think the majority will go on wet. I think it'd be silly to go on slicks.
So the durability of those wet weather tyres going to be tested over the next 30 minutes, but the track is sufficiently wet that I'm sure James is absolutely right that no one is going to take the gamble and go with slick weather tyres for today's race. As a mindset, James, as a racing driver, when you get to the last race of your championship season, you want to go out on a high, surely, whether you're the champion, whether you're not the champion, as we can see. Some of your colleagues down there, Sam Bird and I think it was Davide Rigon was down there as well. Yeah, you want to go out on a high and do the best you can, even in the last race. Of
course. I mean, you want to end the year on a high because you've got the off-season to relax. And I think it's quite important mentally to have a good last race as well. My last race last year was awesome. I just remember how good then the following year was. So obviously it's part of the championship, and it's almost, you kind of get a sad feeling as well that it's over. Yeah, but yeah. But
it also a joyous feeling as well, because you get time to spend with your family and your young family in particular. That exactly. Must be a very welcome part of the off-season for you.
Yeah, exactly, and holidays sometimes.
We just saw your boss down there, didn't we? The head of GT Sporting Activities, Antonello Coletta. Fantastic guy, and I love talking with him because, and I would imagine that he's a very good guy to work for, isn't he?
Very, very good guy. My boss, so I need to be careful.
Yeah, of course, you're not going to say he's rubbish, are you? There is David Fumanelli. We just saw David Finali, who was one of the drivers that took the gamble on the slick tyres yesterday, and it didn't pay off for him. And we were talking with James Collado about the closed season, the winter, if you like. Of course, Ferrari Challenge 2019, kicking off the European Series in Bahrain in February. So it isn't going to be long, is it?
No, that isn't long at all, no. And what a place, what a track. I love Bahrain. They unfortunately took it off the wet calendar. But I love it there. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've been twice. And yeah, there is something very, very special about the place. And that's where the season for 2019 will kick off for the Ferrari Challenge Europe. Some fantastic venues on the calendar, and of course, you being the WEC champion that you are, we've got to mention the fact that, of course, the Ferrari Challenge coming back to Le Mans, where it's been on a number of occasions before, and you know it's a must-do for a driver of a challenge car, isn't it?
Of course, it's a must-do. It's best place on earth to do a race, one of the best tracks, and obviously important for Ferrari to have that. And yeah, especially in these cars, they've got serious power compared to my wet cars, a lot more power, and I doubt they'll be far off even the GT2 cars. So I'd love to have a go in one of these around Le Mans. It'd be really good fun.
See if we can sort that. There is Nicolas Nelson that we're looking at now. He was successful in the race yesterday.
Hello, my name is Ernst Kirchmeier. I'm coming from Austria. I'm driving with Baron Motorsport from Vienna, Austria, and I'm driving Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. My Ferrari Challenge career was starting this year in Spa. For me, Ferrari Challenge is, of course, first of all, with beautiful, very fast cars, also very nice race tracks. They all are very popular and more or less Formula One racetracks. And so I can meet a lot of interesting people, and on the other side, I can really drive a very hard race. About Monza, I'm the first time here in Monza, so it's really difficult for me, this racetrack, because it's more or less a tricky racetrack, and till now I have to practice with a very strong focus to improve the lap times. But it's a fantastic racetrack in this park, so everybody likes it, the racetrack very much. And for sure, till the final, I know everything what is to do. The Finali Mondiali is for sure some absolutely special event. Here in Monza, it's a very popular racetrack, and the whole world more or less is here. So it will be very difficult, the race, because there are a lot of cars in competition. Yes, but this is the atmosphere, and this is a real final, world final. So come and enjoy the Finali Mondiali in Monza.
Ernst Kirchmeier then, who made his debut in the Ferrari Challenge this year, driving for the Baron Motorsport team. There is the number 81 car of Fabian Volvend, who once again for Octane 126 has put the car in pole position for the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. And we got to the bottom, James, and you were with us yesterday, of why all the Octane 126 cars were in the pit lane, and that was merely because they were rolling the dice and going on those slick tyres and basically didn't want to be with countless cars behind them going into the first chicane on slick tyres. Felt it was much, much better to start from the pit lane.
Well, I mean, just to go on slicks was a real shock. I honestly, as a team like that, I would have thought they'd have kept the wets on, especially starting one and two. So unfortunate for them, but obviously they've learned from the mistake now. They're up there and they'll go for it.
You're right, and they will do it in this race potentially. So we combine the Trofeo Pirelli cars and the Copa Shell cars, and they're off on their formation lap. Another driver that we spoke about a lot yesterday, because he was on camera a lot, because he was so darned good, was Louis Pret.
He was the curb muncher, wasn't he? Yeah, he was literally attacking every curve that this track has to offer. Incredible.
And in quali, he did exactly the same, but it has given him the fastest lap, and he is pole position. So Louis Pret then doing a great job, and it's his first time at Monza, but he absolutely nailed the turns that he wanted to and has set the fastest lap. Let's hear from him now, Louis Pret.
Hello, my name is Louis Pret. We're here in Monza. Pole position this morning in tricky condition. It was a wonderful feeling. It's my first time racing in Europe and on the Monza circuit. So very, very happy with my performance. This afternoon, let's see how it goes. I hope to keep my position.
Well, he's done the hard work in quali, James, hasn't he?
Yeah, I was watching it, and this is going to be entertaining if he does the same. I hope the floor survives. From what I heard, there was a lot of repair work done under that car.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
It's a quick way round, but obviously sometimes you do need to look after the car. So we'll see what happens. But it was a good lap. It was close as well.
Yes.
And it obviously was getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and it was great to see. It was really entertaining qualifying session.
All the social media at the top of the screen for you, and a number of spectators here to enjoy the second race in the Ferrari Challenge Europe Series here at Monza. The last race, effectively, of the 2018 championship season, because the race tomorrow will be for the world final race. Louis Pret, pole position. Alongside is David Fuminelli. The man that lives the closest to this Monza circuit. Nicolas Nelson and Björn Grossman occupy the second row of the grid. They are the top four, if you like, in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro class. In the AMS, it's Fabian Volvend and Chris Froggatt, ahead of Christian Overgaard and Jack Brown. Another good quali from Christian Overgaard. And for the Shell drivers, Manuela Gosner, another pole position for Manuela with Christoph Herney P2. And in the Shell AM drivers, Laurent Damouz, who took his maiden win yesterday and was so emotional up there on the podium. And it just proves, I guess, James Collado, that when you have success, it kind of breeds still more, because he's gone and put the car in pole position for the AM class today.
Yeah, it's obviously given him a confidence boost. He's obviously been wanting that podium. You said podium, and he got the win, and it's buzzed him up a lot, and he's got pole position. He's doing a great job this weekend. Let's hope he can get a good result in this race. I'm sure he will.
Maybe he can make it 2 out of 2. Once again, we allow the music to build the anticipation for race 2 in the Ferrari Challenge Europe Series. Stand by. So the huge grid of cars make their way towards the lights, and when the lights go from red to green, we will be on and racing. 30-minute race to come from the mix of Trofeo Pirelli and Copa Shell drivers. They're heading towards the lighting gantry now, which is right at the top of your screen. The safety car has peeled off into the pit lane. It's the responsibility of Louis Pret and David Fuminelli to control the pace of this rolling lap. Let's go racing. Eric Prinot then on the outside, trying to move up from his lowly grid starting position. David Fuminelli and Louis Pret are absolutely side by side as they head into what is going to be the first chicane. And Louis Pret's car weaving under braking. David Fuminelli not able to make the corner, nor is Björn Grossman or Fabian Volvend. They've not made the chicane. And they come out now, probably having taken great advantage of that shorter way through the chicane, and various cars bumping all over the rumble strips there. on the exit of the chicane, but thankfully I don't think any damage and I don't think any offs, which I am perhaps surprised by. Henry Hassie then, he shortcuts there a bit like Louis Pret has been doing and moves up a place, but David Fuminelli is leading the race from Louis Pret. Then it is Björn Grossman, but I think that will be looked at, and now all of a sudden Eric Prinot in strife in the Dayglow yellow car that we can see at the back there, and Louis Pret is sticking with David Fuminelli here and not letting him get away with it. David Fuminelli then, who knows this circuit like the back of his hand, unlike Louis Pret, who does not. He has got the track experience perhaps as an advantage, and certainly he used that experience to his advantage going into the first chicane. So, for the first time of asking then, through the second chicane here at Monza, Nicolas Nelson, another driver, trying to move up the order as well. But there's a real three-way fight going on here for the potential lead of the race between David Fuminelli and Louis Pret and Björn Grossman. So there is Björn Grossman. He's on the outside of Louis Pret as they, for the first time of asking, are into the Parabolica. He thinks better of it, dives to the inside now. And Louis Pret seems to get very sideways there, James, and he's lost that place already.
Yeah, it looked like they hooked it up on the inside. Looks like the grip's on the inside there. Very, very close. Great respect between his drivers. So close and not making any mistakes so far. I did see a little bit of debris at the first few corners. I was hoping that was going to be the barriers or the bollards. I hope that was what it was. But yeah, awesome start.
Well, under investigation is the situation between Eric Chung and Eric Prinot, which we didn't necessarily see on the camera as Jens Liebhaus on the front end of his car locks up a little bit and Chris Froggatt goes through. Also under investigation is Martin Nelson in car number 13. What surprises me is that I've not seen anything yet on the race control screen with regards to Björn Grossman, because I thought that he did get an advantage at the start.
Yeah, and we saw it yesterday, didn't we? A couple of the cars were cutting that corner, gaining an advantage call. That was a huge slide.
He did well to hold that, didn't he?
And we didn't see any action, I guess. So, I mean, maybe they don't see him as an advantage. I don't know, but clearly they got an advantage. But
well, I thought so.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Martin Nelson is under investigation for the engineers working on the car at 3 minutes. And that's basically, there is a period of time, isn't there, that once you've gone to the grid, James, that you're not allowed to be messing with the car.
Yeah, and that's, for a driver, that's just horrible, because you've done nothing wrong, and then you get, the information from your engineer, oh, we've got a drive-through, or we've got this or that, and it's all because, the mechanics. Probably, and it will only have been a few seconds, probably. They all know the rules, so sometimes touch and go.
But isn't that, you win and lose as a team, don't you? And you have to take the knocks as well as the trophies, if you like.
Exactly, yeah.
So, David Fuminelli then is trying to stretch his legs and get ahead of the Björn Grossman. But Björn Grossman is sticking with him here, and all of a sudden, Fabian Volvend is fancying an opportunity here with Louis Pret. Now, he got it very sideways going through this turn on the previous lap. Did manage to hold on to it, as James has indicated. Clearly, the grip is on the inside. And here comes Fabian Volvend now, almost alongside Louis Pret as they head now onto the start-finish straight. And they'll be heading up towards the first chicane. Nicolas Nelson is trying to come through at the same time as well. So Fabian Volvend will have the inside going into the chicane. That does become the outside towards the mid of the chicane, but I think she's got the job done and managed to scrub the speed off and brake sufficiently. She got the overtake done. This in replay then was Eric Chung and Eric Prinot. So looked like Eric Chung just nerfed Eric Prinot a little bit and sent him out into the gravel. Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty side by side, but what I think happened was he got caught on the curb and then probably just knocked his rear end, and that's what caused him to go off. Oh, drive-through penalty, car 13.
So, and that's what you were saying, Martin Nelson has picked up that drive-through penalty through presumably no fault of his as a driver.
Big one.
Oh, that is a big one, and that is the 172 car that is off there. That's the car of Giuseppe Romelli, who was in the wars a little bit in race 1 yesterday. Well, he's in the wars big time, and the safety car has been called for. So this, for Björn Grossman, will be a real opportunity, won't it?
It will, yeah. Had looked like quite a big impact, so I hope he's okay.
The one thing we've seen, James, perhaps here we'll reveal what happened.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just lost control under the brakes, hasn't he?
And what sort of speed would he be doing there before he... I mean, he just started braking presumably,
Yeah, he knocked off a few kph just before, but it looked like he just got it a little bit wrong, rear locking maybe. I don't think it was that fast.
Okay.
I wouldn't know a speed, but it wasn't top speed.
No.
Knocked a bit off.
And that's great to see. Giuseppe is out of the car. The integrity, the safety of these cars is remarkable, James, which I know that an awful lot of the Ferrari drivers, when developing the new challenge car, the 488, when it was introduced, lots and lots of people like yourself, drivers, had quite a lot of input into the car.
Yeah, I started with a 458 in 2014,
yes.
and I had quite a big off in Le Mans in qualifying. And I hurt myself purely on things where I thought, if the roll bar had been higher there or that had been tweaked here, then I wouldn't have hurt myself as much.
Okay.
So developing the 488 and the new challenge, we took safety into a higher aspect, and now you'll see you can have impacts like that, and the driver would just walk away, and that's all credit to Ferrari really, and all the guys who building such a strong car. It really is an improvement. And if I'd have been in that accident at Le Mans in this car, I would have just walked out. But I ended up in hospital for a week with the 458, and it was a nasty one. So all of us, not only myself, we tried to get it all safe and sorted, really.
Well, well done to you for playing your part in providing that information to Ferrari when they designed the 488. Now, James, pick up on this, if you will. This is a replay of the start. So Björn Grossman, okay, he's in P3 now, isn't he? He's ahead of Nicolas Nelson. However...
yeah, I mean... his drivers sometimes...
He didn't turn, James.
No. You think you can get away with it at the start because a lot of people will do it. It's like Monaco cutting the corner in turn one. And your excuse can be, I was avoiding this or avoiding that. There's cars everywhere. So I don't know.
Well, he certainly has got away with it because there's been nothing on the message screen at all. He didn't gain a place, but, he's got momentum, hasn't he?
Plenty of momentum, yes.
Okay. Oh, Laurent Demouse was right in the mix there and had to take to the curbs. So that was interesting to see that replay of the start. We're with the safety car now. The order is Finali. Grossman is P2. Then Fabian Volvend, who, of course, got past Louis Pret. And then it is Nicolas Nelson that's running in P4 at the moment. The best of the AM drivers is Fabian Volvend, of course. The best of the Shell drivers is Manuel Agostina, who is ahead of Ernst Kirchmeier, who we heard from right at the beginning of the program. We've got 21 and a half minutes of the race remaining, and we are behind the safety car to recover the damaged Giuseppe Romelli machine right at the end of the start-finish straight, that car needing to be recovered and the debris swept up as well. We also lost Vicente Podoliccio at the start of the race as well for some unrelated incident, and we are behind the safety car, and I would think for certainly the remainder of this lap, if not one more, because there was quite a bit of debris to clear up as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, it says safety car in this lap.
Oh, I apologize.
There we go. Just came up.
So at the end of this lap, then, the safety car will come in and we will be back to racing once again. Now, in many ways, it's advantageous, of course, for the likes of Björn Grossman, who will now be on terms with David Finali and will try and anticipate when David Finali is going to go for it. There is an adage in motorsport that safety cars do have a habit of breeding other safety cars, James, because you've got everyone bunched together again.
Yeah, I mean, touch wood, we don't see any accidents, but yeah, it bunches everyone up again. Obviously, they'll be more in a single file than they would have been at the start of the race, but I mean, you can see clearly, look how close that is. And yeah, Finali's got a good restart there.
Yes. So Finali leading, then Björn Grossman wasn't able to anticipate it quite as he would have hoped. And of course, he's got his teammate Fabian Volvend right behind. And then it's Louis Pret, who's under a bit of pressure now from Nicolas Nelson. Louis Pret goes to the outside, puts himself alongside Fabian Volvend to try and reclaim that place that she took just before the safety car came out. And, well, Louis Pret was not successful at that point, but now, as they head into the Curva Grande, it looked like he was going to stay on the outside line and try and go around the outside of Fabian Volvend. I think you'd have to be very, very brave to try that, and indeed that has not only has it failed, it's also opened the door to Nicolas Nelson, who appears to have gone through now as well. So Louis Prat then has dropped a number of places. From pole position, he now runs in P5. So, and all over the back of Fabien Volvend is Nicolas Nelson. The debris that's in those cooling ducts at the front.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought actually these cars are really sensitive to that. I mean, look there, it's complete. Well, we missed it out of shot there, but it's completely full. I mean, there'll be no air getting in there, and the engines might suffer here.
Yes, you know, those are critical vents, aren't they, which provide the cooling to the engine.
Yeah, and not only are the leaves a problem in the radiators, but you see all the cars braking on the inside, and it's purely because all the residue of the trees is on the edge of the track, and there's more grip on the inside than there is the outside.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Grossman has found the hurry-up pedal here because he is really pushing David Fuminelli now. They go side by side. This is for the lead in the race. David Fuminelli on the left-hand side of your picture. To the right-hand side of your picture is Björn Grossman. They both brake going into the turn, and Grossman now, and it's almost the entry to this Parabolica, James, where you can begin to set up an overtake, isn't it?
You can, but Fuminelli was clever there. He closed the door right on the apex, knowing that he would have got the cut back. So that was pretty clever by Fuminelli. Grossman's obviously got the toe now down the straight. Interested to see if he goes on the outside or not, which he is. Last of the late breakers, I guess.
So Fuminelli braking, Björn Grossman braking as well. And again, Fuminelli made that car very wide, didn't he, going in? Which he's right to do that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got the perfect right to do that.
So Fuminelli continues to lead from Grossman, who is P2. Nicolas Nelson coming under a bit of pressure once again from Louis Prat now. He managed to get past Louis Prat, but Prat coming back at Nicolas Nelson now, which means that Fabien Volvend potentially can get up the road and escape a bit, although it would appear Nicolas Nelson has come back at her now. Meantime, a few other people are using that...
Yeah, they've been watching some video footage from yesterday's race, that's for sure.
Look at Nelson all over the back of Fabien Volvend. We're staying with Björn Grossman at the moment as he's chasing down the David Fuminelli car. So David Fuminelli continuing to lead. The margin between P1 and P2 is literally just 5 or 6 tenths. That's all it is. But of course, David Fuminelli has got the car in exactly the right place. And as James has indicated, when it comes to Björn Grossman trying to find a way to overtake, David Fuminelli will know where to put the car to try and make it as difficult as possible. Defend that P1 position. Best of the AM drivers is Fabien Volvend, who's P3 at the moment in the race, but being chased hard by Nicolas Nelson. And Grossman is one of those drivers, James, who just wrings the neck out of the car, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought he was going there. And that is one of the hardest corners to lose the car at, because you tend to see cars tank slap into the other side of the wall. So he caught that nicely. Fair play.
He's an extraordinary talent, is Björn Grossman. There's no question about that. And he is chasing David Fuminelli for all he's worth. But Fuminelli just beginning to eke out a bit more of a margin than he's had. And there they head into the chicane once again. Nicolas Nelson was just diving to the outside of Fabien Volvend. Nicolas Nelson being engineered by the Formula Racing team, of course. He's had so much success this season. Is he going to get the overtake done? Indeed he does. So Nicolas Nelson now is up into P3. And I think, James, all of a sudden, it won't take him very long to be on the back of Grossman and Fuminelli, and the race will be on for the race lead. Yeah,
he's got a few purple sectors in there as well, I can see, and he's obviously quick. These two are pushing each other hard, though, and whether the tyres are going to last the last 15 minutes we have here, I'm not sure. I can see they're really wringing the neck out of these cars.
It makes it great for us because it's fantastic to watch.
It's entertaining. But
however, whether the durability...
Those poor tyres,
yes. Oh, Louis Prat getting a bit of a sideways moment then. We just saw having caught the curb, which, I mean, it just upsets the entire geometry of the car, doesn't it, James?
And it does. I mean, sometimes it is quicker, but you've got to be like millimetre perfect. You've got to angle that car in a certain way, and if you don't get there, you can bounce off, literally have a massive oversteer, and that's that. So the suspension on these cars, though, is really, really good, I must say, and a bit more forgiving than other cars. So they're able to do it, even in these conditions.
Sam Smith is making good progress in the all-yellow number 92 car. He's behind Fabien Volvend now. He's Trofeo Pirelli Pro driver. And he is chasing the leader in the AM class at the moment, Fabian Volvend, and Sam Smith, who's missed a big chunk of the season, but is back here at Monza, and good to see him back. And oh, that car sliding then on the entry to the Parabolica. That will have cost some valuable 100s, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, looks impressive, but you're losing time when a car's sliding like that.
So both Fuminelli and Björn Grossman off the white lines then, and here comes Nicolas Nelson. I said it wouldn't be many laps before he would be on, and he's getting closer, ever closer to these two. Nelson will brake as late as he possibly dares as David Fuminelli turns in, so too does Björn Grossman, and through the course of this chicane, Nelson will get ever closer to that Octane 126 car. Björn's girlfriend looks on, knows that Björn, of course, is in P2 at the moment, and David Fuminelli, for my money, is now seemingly, he's got a bit of a comfort margin. Nicolas Nelson, well, proof of the fact that he's chasing, is just set the fastest lap of the race. And Grossman, all of a sudden, you know, is there a time when you look in your rearview mirror, James, and you just suddenly think, oh, I'm going to have to stop attacking now, I'm going to have to defend?
Yeah, and even sometimes when you realise you haven't got the pace, sometimes there's no point even defending, because you know there's a couple of guys behind that person, and your real target is try and score as well. Oh, spinner.
That's Rick Lovett in the 112 car. Oh my goodness, that was very good avoidance by Christian Kinch. That could have been horrible.
Oh, not nice. Oh no, car 81 slow on track.
So that's Fabian Volvend, isn't it?
Yes, she's dropped. Yeah, she's dropped down the order.
Oh, that's a great shame. So Fabian Volvend then, obviously an issue with the car, and she has dropped out of contention. Now, Nicolas Nelson, another one of those cars, James, that's got so much foliage in those cooling ducts at the front of the car. Doesn't appear to be hampering the power that's being delivered by the 488 turbo engine, though, as he is now almost on the back of Björn Grossman. Presumably, when we see that car slide into Parabolica, it's because you're just taking as much into that corner as you can, and sometimes the car just gets away from you.
Yeah, you're just hanging on for life, really. No, but yeah, it's when the nose pitches down, obviously the rear becomes light and it's moving around a lot, but also you get a lot of movement with wet tyres.
Right.
And when they overheat, they obviously become soft and chewy almost, so you find yourself, you know, sliding around all over the place. And that's one of the biggest reasons why you should keep them cool. And I think Nelson actually did a really good job yesterday in just managing the tyres quite well.
Okay.
And that's why he was so quick at the end. But he's right there now, ready to make a move.
Well, Grossman will defend for all he's worth, but Nelson has definitely got the pace advantage. You can see that now. Björn will metaphorically stick his elbows out and make it as difficult as possible for Nicolas Nelson. They've had some phenomenal battles together. That was a brilliant overtake, James.
Great move. He didn't even lose any time. Yeah, that was a really, really mature move.
Interesting to note, and perhaps reinforcing what you said earlier, sometimes you just think, you know, if the car behind you know it's got the pace, there's no point being too aggressive in your defence, because it's not going to pay.
You know he's going to overtake at some point, so your real race is the guys behind him. And it happens sometimes. Sometimes it's out of your control if you've got overheating tyres, things like that. So it's like damage limitation. Or
sure. 10 3/4 minutes left in the race. Nelson now P2. He's 2.6 seconds down on David Fuminelli.
I reckon he can do it.
Do you?
I reckon he can do it.
There's that small Great British pound between James and me as to whether he can do it. So the new leader then of the AM class is Chris Froggatt. So in P6 in the race overall, just behind Sam Smith, who's running in P5. Grossman getting closer to Nelson on that occasion. Nelson, who's got, as I say, that 2.6 seconds to try and chase down David Fuminelli, who's, well, you can see the top three in one shot here. Here is David Fuminelli. The local driver then lives in Lesmo and really knows this place. And when I interviewed him yesterday afternoon, he was saying that as a kid, you know, he used to come into the Monza circuit through the holes in the fence because he couldn't afford to buy a ticket, and Nicolas Nelson chucks the back end of the car out, and that's, you know, what inspired David Finali to become a racing driver. That's what he so wanted to do, and as he says, it's something very special to be able to race at this particular circuit, which had such a momentous drive for him in terms of his career. What was it for you, James, that determined the career path that you have been so successful in?
Since I was a baby, really. I mean, motorbikes, quads, even at like 3-4 years old, I just used to love anything with an engine. And
okay.
Well, unfortunately for my dad, I started to become good in karts, and yeah, he helped me a lot, and started to win races, and then ever since, really, just climbed up the ladder. But yeah, I mean, the most enjoyable part of my racing, it was when I first started, because it was almost no pressure, no politics, nothing like that, and they were good times. So. But yeah, like Finali, trying to sneak into tracks and things like that. As a kid, you always just wanted to see cars. So
earlier on in the year, I was in the same situation with interviewing Matthias Ekström, who was, is a very, very talented driver. And he said much the same. It was the whole. He would go to Hockenheim and he'd get some signed photos, and he would actually use those as currency to get himself into the grandstand because he couldn't afford the ticket.
Brilliant.
Great. Okay, back to the race then. Finali leading now, but the lead is down to 1.7 seconds. We have it on record. James Collado has said that within the 8 minutes that remain in this race, Nelson can be on Finali. Let's see. Ernst Kirchmayr there in the 109 car, as you can see, is the best of the Shell drivers, ahead of Manuel Agostner and Eric Chung, who survived that little battle with Eric Prinot. And there is Ernst Kirchmayr ahead of Manu Gostner, who is the car in P2, and then, of course, Eric Chung in P3. So in Copa-Shell, a real three-way battle going on here. All the cars are absolutely together, as you can see. Oh, someone shortcuts. I think that might have been Henry Hassid going into the chicane. So here comes Ernst Kirchmayr, Manuel Gostner. Ernst puts the car right in the middle of the track. We're looking back at Eric Chung from being on board with the Manu Gostner car. P2 at the moment. P1 in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro is David Finali. Nicolas Nelson is P2. Ernst is under a bit of pressure perhaps here from Manu Gostner. So Manuela, who has been very, very successful this year and had a really, really good season. And Ernst Kirchmayr, who was, if you were with us right at the start of the program, as Manuel Gostner certainly gained a couple of meters there by using the Louis Pret route through that chicane. And now the pressure is on. She looks to the inside. Ernst Kirchmayr now is really having to do everything he can to control that car. And I suspect he's got one eye on the rearview mirror at all times. Eric Chung is going to try and take advantage of this as well. And sometimes, James, if you're P3 in a battle, that's kind of a good place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, you're just hoping that they're going to crash. And then you sneak in. Yeah, it is. You can let them do all the risky things and then just hold back.
All of the cars, or many of the cars, with all those leaves in their cooling ducts here. And Ernst Kirchmayr, Manuel Gostner, and joining into the battle is Thomas Gostner as well now. So it becomes a four-way fight, if you like, for the lead in this Copa-Shell race. Ernst Kirchmayr, though, for the moment, appears to have everything under control, and whatever Manuela, who, of course, is a very, very feisty driver, whatever she's able to throw at Ernst Kirchmayr at the moment, he appears to have the answer for it. She goes very wide. Does that allow a window of opportunity to Eric Chung? She'll try and get a slingshot off this Parabolica turn and give her a slight pace advantage, potentially, on Ernst Kirchmayr as they head in towards the first chicane here at Monza.
Track's really drying. See a dry line, especially middle sector. It's pretty much drying out a lot. This is close.
Eric Chung, very late decision to move to the inside, and Manuela now on the inside.
Oh,
little love tap between herself and Ernst Kirchmayr, and here comes Eric Chung.
We don't want any love taps there.
Oh,
my word.
Rearview mirror gone. But Manuela Gostner, now she has got past Ernst Kirchmayr, is up the road. Car 47 is going to get a time penalty at the end of the race. That's Henry Hassid, who's had track limits issues all weekend long, it has to be said. And Thomas Gostner pushing Eric Chung for all he's worth to try and move into that P3 position. But the new leader in Copa-Shell then is Manuela Gostner. was quite a physical overtake, James, but it was fair, wasn't it?
It was okay. Ooh,
oh. And now Eric Chung goes through as well, so Ernst Kirchmeier, he may even lose this P3 place because Thomas Gosler looks very lively as well in car number 161. He's currently in P4. We're into the final 4 minutes of the race, and the lead up front.
1/10, 2/10.
Here comes,
rubbing my hands here.
Here comes Thomas Gosler on Ernst Kirchmeier, and all of a sudden Ernst, in the space of but a couple of laps, has gone from P1 to P4, James. That hurts, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
How much of that do you think is down to the... Everybody tells me, oh no, even before we get to that, let's talk about this battle, because to my right-hand side here in the commentary studio, the learned James Collado said Nielsen could be on him before the end of the race, and has been prepared to bet me £1. I thought Finali would be able to hold on. However, they are really close now. Just 3/10 between the two of them, with 3.5 minutes of racing left. He's going to have to try blooming hard, and he's got to do it now. And
oh, here we go. Show it. I mean, from what I can see,
love that corner. Oh, Nielsen really, he's looked after his tyres better, hasn't he?
Yeah. From what I can see, Sector 1 is still damp.
Okay.
And Finali's able to hold him off, but as soon as you get to this drier sector, look, where the track's drying out, it seems that Nielsen is got an advantage. So he's there, but he's obviously got to make the move. So whether he risks an almighty lunge or not, I don't know. Well, if it was me, I'd go for it.
You'd go for it?
Yeah.
Nielsen, of course, wants to keep the car to take part in the World Final race tomorrow. He was ineligible for that last year, but this year he can. So he doesn't want to bin it. But equally, you're a racing driver, and P2 is no good to you. You want to win every race, don't you?
Yeah, of course. And he might have an opportunity here. He got a better exit there out of Ascari, so he's got a good toe now. Is he going to go to the outside? Oh.
Is having a go, isn't he?
On the limit. Will he stop it in time? He's trying to do the cut, look.
Yeah. Now, whilst all this is going on, we have a battle going on in Coperchel as well, but David Finali and Nicolas Nelson here heading up towards the first chicane once again. And this is the last lap. It's now or never, Mr. Collado.
Oh.
So David Finali is going to make this car as wide as possible.
See, he just loses a little bit in the first sector.
Yeah. So
he's got a good gap there.
Finali now up to 4/10 over Nicolas Nelson, who's thrown absolutely everything at it, but he's going to probably or potentially run out of laps here. Nelson won't be done until the checkered flag is out, though, that's for sure. He will do everything he can. Here they come into this chicane now. Nelson bouncing the car. The leader is David Finali.
No.
This was Thomas Gosler with a tap on Eric Chung, and that left Eric Chung's car in a very, very vulnerable position on the entry there. Here comes Nelson again. Finali trying to control the car. Finali, the leader in pros. Chris Froggatt, the leader in Pro-Am. The leader in Shells is Manuela Gosler. The leader in Shell-Am is Murat Kuhadaroglu. Here comes the live gap between the two of them then. It's nothing, but track position is everything. And at the moment, Finali's car is ahead of the Formula Racing car of Nicolas Nelson.
Oh, this is close.
So Nelson now... Finali is protecting that inside line, isn't he? When does Nelson dive to the outside? It's now. Finali lets the car drift.
Oh.
Nicolas Nelson, that's compromised him.
He's got it. Finali's got it.
So, as they head towards the checkered flag, surely David Finali has done enough. Nicolas Nelson uses all the opposite lock he can to try and control the car. But David Finali wins from Nicolas Nelson. Then it's going to be Björn Grossman that takes P3. Well, defending like never before for David Finali, but he did it. Louis Pret, who started right at the front of the pack, ends up banking P4. Then it will be Jens Liebhauser and Sam Smith in the all-yellow car, although Smith under pressure from Chris Froggatt right at the end. Chris Froggatt leads the and wins the AM race ahead of Henry Hassid. Then it's Jack Brown and Thomas O'Rourke. And the best of the Shell drivers is going to be Manuela Gosner ahead of her father Thomas, and Ernst Kirschmeyer then in P3. Christian Overgaard heading towards the line now. He takes P4 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. So Manuela Gosner then a winner here at Monza. And the Ineco MP team there celebrating on the pit wall. Team engineered by Massimo Pepe, and once again Team Zenith Scion very happy as well.
I owe you £1 then.
There we go. Never thought I'd hear that. In replay, this was Jens Liebhauser and Sam Smith. I always think that Jens Liebhauser's car, it's the livery actually that makes it look very battle-worn, but actually it isn't. It's, as I say, it is it's the livery of the car. So, well, that was a dramatic and entertaining race. Car 161. Now, Thomas Gosner is going to get a plus 25-second time penalty for causing a collision. That was with Eric Chung that we saw into the chicane. And this is Murat Kuhardaroglu, who's the winner of the Shell AM race, be followed by Agata Smolka and Ingvar Mattsson. Those three will be appearing on the podium. The Shell winner is Manuela Gosner for Ineco MP Racing. Trofeo Pirelli AM winner is Chris Froggatt then, the British driver who sealed the championship with many rounds still to go. And the winner, of course, of Trofeo Pirelli Pro, David Fuminelli. Towards the end, he had to make the car very wide to prevent Nicolas Nelson coming through, but he did it. So, confirmation of the classification then. Fuminelli taking the win in Trofeo Pirelli Pro, taking the win in Trofeo Pirelli AM, Chris Froggatt. Taking the win in Copa Shell, Manuela Gosner, and in Shell AM, it's Murat Kuhardaroglu. That's a great shot. This podium at Monza, James, because it's right on the track, it's something very, very special, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's it is the best podium you can have. You literally overstand the straight at Monza. It's a great view. I'm lucky enough to have been on it a couple of times, and yeah, you see it on all the Formula One and things. They all come running down the track, and
yes,
it's such an atmosphere. Brilliant, brilliant podium.
So jumping out there, Manuela Gosner then is congratulated. Been a huge year for Manuela Gosner, and I think last year when she raced in other categories, James, I think that really helped Manu's racecraft. You know, just the experience of, you know, some people will say, you know, if you jump from one car to another, actually that can do more damage than good sometimes, because of course you get the setup of one car right, and then you've got to transfer back to another car.
Yeah, exactly. Experience is everything. So.
Okay, what a race that was then. Let's take a look at it. From pole position then, it was Louis Pret, but David Fuminelli was on a mission and on a charge right from the very start of the race. The difference between Louis Pret and David Fuminelli was largely down to track experience, and Björn Grossman knew a little shortcut, and so too did Fabian Volvend. Louis Pret then losing out going around the Parabolica, did well to hold on to that at the speed that he was doing. Unfortunately, we saw Giuseppe Romelli make contact with the barriers. He walked away from that completely unharmed, as you can see. That brought out the safety car, which of course bunched everyone up once again. That meant, or could have meant, that David Fuminelli was going to be under pressure from Björn Grossman. But the assassin behind that was really making moves was Nicolas Nelson, even at that point. Murat Kuhardaroglu was having a real battle with the car of Agata Smolka, and we look back from Manuela Gosner because she was in a fine fight with Ernst Kirschmeyer. Very brave and bold going through the chicane. And despite the door mirror being clunked off Ernst Kirschmeyer's car, the important thing was she made the overtake stick. Thomas Gosner tried a completely different way of dislodging the opposition ahead, but in the end it would be David Fuminelli that would be victorious over Nicolas Nelson, and Manuela Gosner would take the honours in the Shell class. That gives you just an indication of how special this Finali Mondiali event is here at Monza. The entire paddock taken over by showrooms and shops and historic racing cars from Ferrari as well. How much Italian do you know?
Enough to know what that, that was, which I can't say on air.
Right. Thomas Gosner not very happy, I'm guessing.
No.
Okay. So, a confirmation then of the Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers, Fuminelli, Nielsen and Grossman. The cars drivers we'll see on the podium. See the whole right-hand side of the paddock, James. This, you know, inverted C, if you like. There's a restaurant, there's a showroom, and of course those incredible SP cars that are here as well. For the first time I've seen those. They are, I mean, anything that comes out of the Ferrari factory is magnificent in its own right, but they are something very special.
Yeah, it's truly stunning, and I never get bored of seeing them. I do this, all these challenge races and world finals, and I always take half an hour out the schedule just to go and have a look at these cars, because it's just history, and it's incredible to see how immaculate they all still are as well. It's there's some really amazing cars.
Some of your amazing colleagues there that are standing by, I guess, for trophy presentation duties, James, which you've got out of. I don't know whether you got the lesser or the greater of the two evils.
Well, I'm warm, so.
Here is David Fuminelli then, who is making his way out onto the podium. And the podium celebrations will start in due course, or ceremony, I should say, because there's a number of podiums to come, of course. And we hope we've got the on-air time to bring you all of those. There is Björn Grossman then. He'll be disappointed with P3, but at least he is on the podium. P2, Nicolas Nelson. The fight these two have had during the course of the season has been phenomenal. And David Fuminelli, his home race, is going to be on the top step of the podium because he is a race winner, which is great news, of course, for Rosso Corsa. And here's the national anthem. So the anthem plays out then, and stand by for the trophy presentations then. And of the fine collection of drivers, who do we have first? Sam Bird then, who makes the trophy presentation to Björn Grossman. Was it this year or last year Sam got married? I think it was this year, wasn't it?
It was this year, yeah. I went to his wedding this year in Lake Como.
Miguel Molina making the trophy presentation to Nicolas Nelson. And Tony Verlander making the trophy presentation to the race winner, David Fuminelli. And Formula Racing represented by Nicolas Nelson, but of course Rosso Corsa represented by the race winner, David Fuminelli. And Teo Meyer from Pirelli Motorsport then making the Pirelli trophy presentation to David Finali. Rosso Corsa, of course, picking up their trophy as well. I have to say, I have a bold prediction, James, that I can see Nicolas Nelson, and this is really good for the Ferrari Challenge. I can see Nicolas Nelson being picked up for a very, very big GT drive.
Yeah, he's got potential, and he's not really put a foot wrong. I think I remember telling you last year that he was someone to really look out for, and it'd be nice to see him step up maybe into a GT3 or maybe something different. And see what he can do there, because clearly he's got amazing talent.
And what's extraordinary is, and I do remember you mentioning that to me, you know, having driven single-seaters, having driven karts, and he's still racing karts at times, having raced in tin tops, this seems to be his natural home, James.
Yeah, clearly, and he's very smooth, he's switched on. I mean, yesterday especially, I saw great tyre management by him, so this is what you need to make that next step, and he truly deserves that as well. So we'll see in the future. You never know what might happen.
It's extraordinary. He's a very, very young driver, yet he is a kart coach as well. So his coaching, you know, it seems almost ridiculous that someone so young can be coaching other youngsters, but he does. Johnny Lawson, who of course is a very successful GT driver in his own right, his son Conrad is one, if you like, of Nicolas's pupils. 282 points he finishes the season on. I mean, that's an incredible margin over Björn Grossman in a championship which is so close.
So close, it's almost like a domination. Yeah, he's done a great job, as has Chris Froggatt. He's done a great job as well.
And what I find amazing about Chris Froggatt, and I apologise for Thomas O'Rourke there, I apologise for my repetition, is with, you know, Chris Froggatt. He's come into this with so little racing experience, James.
He has, and he's one of the standout workers for me. You can see him around the paddock putting that little bit of extra effort into trying to find out where he can improve, where he can go quicker. He's fitter, all those little things which have made a big difference.
National anthem then for Chris Froggatt. Well, the audio backdrop is of some F1 Clienti cars out on track, and whatever anybody says, as Thomas O'Rourke receives his trophy from Sam Bird, those cars sound something special.
I just really wish they sounded like that again. It is truly amazing. The echo from the grandstand, especially here at Monza, where they are flat chat at 200 miles an hour, is mind-blowing.
Jack Brown has received his trophy from Miguel Molina, and now Tony Verlander presents Chris Froggatt with yet another race winner's trophy. Been a dominant season for Chris Froggatt, and I know he has plans and ambitions as Giancarlo Fisichella makes the trophy presentation to Ferrari GB. I know that Chris Froggatt has got ambitions as to where he will be racing next season, and I think it's a name that we will see and hear more of. And James has made the point, he goes the extra mile in terms of being in the paddock, doing everything he can to make himself an even better driver. And the thing I mentioned yesterday is you look at Chris today, who looks very different on the podium than he did right at the start of the season. You know, he's taken fitness very seriously, hasn't he?
He's taken everything really seriously, and it's shown. I mean, he's absolutely killed it this year.
Yes.
In terms of points, dominated. So hard work pays off.
Clearly. There is a direct correlation, isn't there, between the effort you put in and the luck that you have, and Chris Froggatt has seized all. And there, look at that domination, 273 points to 142. That tells the story itself, doesn't it?
Yep.
So there we have the Drivers' Championship for Trofeo Pirelli AM. So with both of the classes of Trofeo Pirelli podiums, we now turn our attention to Copichel, where we'll see Manuela Gosner, Ernst Kirschmeyer and Eric Prinot on the podium for the Copichel drivers. Be Manuela Gosner's second overall race win this season. listening in to Laurent the Moose there. Michele Mambrelli is the man that you can see there in the Ferrari Blazer, and I'm sorry to say, he uses me as his English language tutor, which is perhaps an error. But what I find absolutely amazing is when often when he orchestrates the podium and he says to all the drivers, top step of the podium and upper your trophy, up your trophy. Which of course, it should be lift, Michele. So he's gone from up to lift to now rise your trophy, which all of which are correct. But Thomas Gosner, Manuela's father, watches on. Of course, he picked up a penalty, and Manuela's national anthem plays out. Now, to the very right-hand side of the picture is Massimo Peppi, who is the boss of the MP Racing organisation. And again, from a team's point of view, and Massimo would forgive me for saying he's not the youngest guy, but you know, his attention to detail in terms of engineering these cars, he works so hard on data and analysing absolutely everything, and that's obviously proved to work, James.
It's what you need as a winning team in total. Drivers, mechanics, everyone involved needs to put in that little bit extra to get you ahead of anyone else, and it's clearly shown. Clearly shown. Yes, he's done that.
So Manuela Gosner receives her trophy, so too Eric Prinot and Ernst Kirschmeyer and the MP Racing team principal as well. Well done, Manu. Everyone makes haste their escape. And there you can see the car that delivered the top step of the podium. Manuela Gosner then, for the MP Team Racing, was victorious once again this season. In the Drivers' Championship, Christoph Herney on 173.5 points. Wins ahead of Eric Chung and Manuela Gosner in P3, the Copichel Drivers' Championship. Christoph Herney from Team Zenith Sion. And in the AMS, the classification, Murat Kuhardaroglu, who's going to be on the top step of the podium with another lady racer, Agata Smolka, alongside, and Ingvar Madsson, which I hope Ingvar will do his little dance on the podium, James, because it's a good one.
I've not seen the little dance.
Trust me, you won't be impressed.
Okay. Oh, I got my hopes. I thought, yeah.
There we go. Come on, Ingvar. Never lets us down.
Brilliant.
They're such lovely people, they really are. And Agata Smolka, Aggie, is on the podium, and here comes Murat Kuhardaroglu on the top step. He just loves being on the podium, look. Oh, wonderful. National anthem. So the shortened version plays out for Murat Kuhardaroglu. This our final podium. And here comes Sam Bird once again to make the trophy presentation to Ingvar Madsson. Bless him. And Miguel Molina to Aggie Smolka. And Murat Kuhardaroglu's had a really, really good season. And Tony Verlander making the trophy presentation there, and I'm guessing Giancarlo Fisichella to the teams, presumably. Indeed so. And everyone gets together for the photographs. And all they can think about and focus on now is, of course, the world final race tomorrow. And there we have the Murat Kuhadaroglu car, of course, driving for Kessel Racing, the eponymous team led by Ronnie Kessel. Whoever, if there was a James Bond villain, Ronnie always, in my opinion, looks like a James Bond villain. Murat Kuhadaroglu closes the championship on 208 points. Ingvar Mattson on 171 and Alexander Nussbaumer on 170.5. James Collado, thanks as always for joining us on air. We'll see you for the world final races for Europe tomorrow.